Chairperson was Ms. Amy Brissett, that is now a consumer representative on the Clinicians Network. And after her, I followed her as the chairperson. So that's the way the membership had went. The mission of the National Consumer Advisory Board is to be the vehicle for consumers of healthcare for the homeless projects to become a collaborative voice on national issues. We hold central the priority of assisting consumers in the development of bylaws and or guidelines for local CABs, serving as a clearinghouse for information and assistance to consumers. Some of the things that we have done over the years is that if you go to the Healthcare for the Homeless Council website, and one of the things we try to press is that if you are a steering committee member, or even if you're just a CAB member on the local level, that you should go to the website at least once a month, because that website has a wealth of knowledge that's on it. It also have a spot where you can go and do webinars. I myself, as suggested for all consumers, they have what they call HCH 101. If you go to HCH 101, that will give you the history of the council on how it got started, and then it will tell you the exercises that we do as far as consumers, as far as outreach, as far as clinician networks. It explains the respite programs, and you learn quite a bit. And also on there is other webinars that has happened in the past, and you can go through there and you can get more information about what's going on in the council. We have a manual that you can find on that website that tell you about the ins and outs of the National Consumer Advisory Board, and it also have our bylaws. You have information about our CPO, and CPO means Consumer Participant Outreach Survey, and that's an annual survey that we do as a organization, as a national CAB each year, except for this past year, to where we kind of changed the basis for it, because for the first time we asked the research committee and the policy committee to participate with us on that, to where hopefully we'll be able to set guidelines and standards on how safety will be handled within all projects across the nation. And then back, it's been 7 years I think now, we were in San Francisco, and at that particular time HRSA had just divided, HRSA had just divided the United States into 10 regions. And so we felt that that gave us a good chance in order to bring more individuals to be connected to the National Consumer Advisory Board Steering Committee, and we created the representatives. Unfortunately, at that particular time, the council couldn't afford enough money to have 10 representatives, because HRSA had divided them up into 10 different regions. So what we did was we asked the council if we could have 5 representatives, and those 5 representatives will represent 2 regions each. And that's how the regional reps came about. I think I've hit everything. Are there any questions?
Or comments?
Wait. After, there was a point to where regional reps wasn't able to come to the face-to-face meeting. We was fortunate that first year we had regional reps, we was able to invite them. But now we were able to go to the council and ask that regional reps will have a voting chance, a voting spot, I should say, on the steering committee, and with them having a voting spot, we also asked the council that because of that, they should be representative here at the face-to-face meeting. Yes, sir.
My question is not so much where we've been, okay, but, because that helps to inform where you're going, because I get the understanding that this whole NCAB thing was really the idea. It wasn't originally in the charter of the National Healthcare for the Homeless Council.
Right.
That there was an idea that evolved, on the basis of, a few people wanting to champion this, in about 10, 12 years ago. But where are we going? Are we going to have a significant influence in the governance of the National Healthcare for the Homeless Council? Because my big concern is that many of these organizations are somewhat paternalistic, that there are very few of them are actually made up of the people experiencing, the trauma and the homelessness. And to what extent do we really have influence in the governance of the organization as a whole?
Well, as an organization, as far as governance, the National Council recognized anything that we come up with on this committee and put to the governance board. We have 3 members from this committee that participate on the governance board. We have independent, on the governance board you have 5 spots that's open for consumers that's not on this board to be on the governance board and participate. In the past, we didn't have members of the National Consumer Advisory Board to be secretary, to be financial, or the financial portion of the governance board. And as John Lazier said, in his perfect world, eventually a consumer would be the president of the governance board and eventually be CEO of the National Consumer of the National Healthcare for the Homeless Council. Us as a group, we are constantly growing, and one of the things that we have to do as the foundation of the consumer movement within healthcare for the homeless is to lead by example. Like you say, there has been a time to where some projects do not have consumers in leadership roles. But as we do the things that we put together in our yearly work plan, as we constantly go to regional trainings and help with regional trainings and helping with technical assistance and doing workshops at the conference, one of the other things is that through our participation on different committees, which is a valuable thing that we can do to show that we actually have something to bring to the table, then by that it makes it possible for consumers in the local projects to be able to come to the table and get their voice heard about how that us as an organization can use the consumers in several ways. One, by us having the storytelling and getting people trained in order to tell their story and be able to intertwine the story about them going through recovery and the organization helping them. That help in fundraising. You can help when you go to DC to make sure that you go see your congressperson and your senator to let them know what healthcare for the homeless is doing in your area and get them on board. 2 is by participating with the Winter Solstice, which is the homeless Memorial Day in August. On the 3rd week of August, if I'm not mistaken, you have National Healthcare Week, and that Wednesday you have Healthcare for the Homeless Day. Participate in that to develop a voter registration program at your different projects. These are the things that you can do to get consumers involved on the local level to where they can show that consumers can bring something to the table. The other thing is to try to get consumers to become peer specialists, to become recovery coaches, consumer navigators, community health workers. That is another tool to where not only they can do volunteering, but they might be able to get paid in their participating in the different programs.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
What is this new opportunity that I understand that Joanne is part of, to have a consumer part of a committee? What's that process? How does that, what is when you're in the clinicians network?
Oh, the respite?
Or the
When I was in
respite?
the steering committee?
Well,
Yeah,
what that happened is
what's that
consumers.
process?
Well, that process, they have consumers on clinician networks is the last one to get a consumer.
Yeah.
But you always had consumers on respite. And the reason why is that you as a consumer brings to the table the boundaries that consumers have to deal with to get into those particular programs.
What's the process for getting into that though? I mean, what is that? You're invited or
You'll
you're
be
asked to
invited,
do it?
they have a time, on most committees, everyone has a 2-year period that they be in a position. And then after that 2-year period, you can get nominated to those positions, whether it be the governor's board, whether it be respite, the clinician network, or here on the national CAB. Because one of the things that John has made sure over the years that in all boards, except for the committees you can just say you want to be on a committee.
Right.
And you give up your name and your telephone number and your what is it, your email, and you get a blast from them telling you whether it's going to be the third Monday at 3:30 or the second Monday, whatever, and you be on that 1-hour call and different things to discuss what the council is trying to do, and you put your input on from the view of a consumer. You know, one of the things. And I've had a chance to be on several boards, but one of the things I like about Healthcare for the Homeless Council, yes, they have a lot of people that have BAs and MAs and doctorates and all these different letters, but when it comes to consumers, the person that think they don't have those letters within the council, the most important letters of all is called LIFE. That's why they ask for our involvement.
Can I just piggyback off that?